everyone, and welcome to the GTCM podcasting station where we discuss classical music and hits all day, every day. I'm your host for this evening, Amy Morton. Our topic tonight, we will be exploring around the 1900s, learning about a well-known composer by the name of Richard Charles Rogers, a very fine composer of music for more than 900 songs and for 43 Broadway musicals. He also composed music for films and television. He is best known for his songwriting partnerships with lyricists Jerome Kern, Lorenz Hart, and Oscar Hammerstein II. The Sound of Music 1959, which we just heard, was one of the winning musical by Richard Rogers and Oscar Hammerstein II. Let's listen to the rest of the selection where we go down to memory lane to talk about the life and the legacy of Richard Charles Rogers. Richard Charles Rogers was a pioneer in crafting what became the quintessential American musical, integrating stories from books and plays and creating seamless storytelling from speech to song. He also innovated the business end of show business, allowing writers to keep control of their creations. Rogers won every major award possible in his field, and it is safe to say that at any given point in time, one of his musicals is being reproduced somewhere in the world, and that someone is probably humming one of his famous tunes or songs right about now. The selection you just heard was the 1959 Sound of Music, a winning musical by, yes, you guessed it, Richard Rogers, and lyrics by Oscar Hammerstein II. Let's begin, shall we? Richard Charles Rogers, born into a prosperous German Jewish family, the second son born to physician Dr. William Abraham Rogers and his wife Mamie Levy on June 28, 1902, when they were staying at a friend's summer house near Auburn in Queens, New York. Not long after, the family moved to Upper Manhattan, coincidentally mere blocks away from Richard's future songwriting partners, Lorenz Hart and Oscar Hammerstein II. At an early age, Richard Rogers learned to play the piano as a toddler because it was a theater-loving household. His parents saw Broadway shows and his grandparents were partial to opera, though his mother was more prone to bouts of hypochondria than boundless affection. She would play tunes from the shows that were seen on the piano when Dr. Rogers brought home the sheet music to sing. Rogers inherited all of this and became the darling of the family for his quick adaptability to the music and harmony. By the age of 15, he had chosen musical theater as his profession. The music of composer Jerome Kern had been a revelation. In 1918, Rogers was thrilled to be accepted to Columbia University, where he would write for the school's famous varsity show, an annual production. Rogers' elder brother, Mortimer, with whom he had rivaled as a child, ended up being the conduit for the famed partnerships of Richard's future career. At an early varsity show, Mortimer introduced the young Richard to Oscar Hammerstein II, and in the winter of 1918-19, a friend of Mortimer's introduced him to Lorenz Hart, which at age 16 was when Richard Rogers' musical career started for him. He and Lorenz Hart began their musical collaboration, Rogers acting as the composer and Hart as the lyricist, Manhattan, was their 1925 breakthrough hit, and scores of other songs yielded many of today's standards, including Blue Moon, 1934, My Funny Valentine, 1937, Isn't It Romantic, 1932, and Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered, 1940. Together, Rogers and Hart wrote the music and lyrics for 26 Broadway musicals until Hart's death in 1943. He then partnered up with Oscar Hammerstein II. Rogers and Hammerstein had a hit right out of the starting gate with Oklahoma, which gave Rogers the notion to exercise his business ahead. Rogers and Hammerstein also formed a company that allowed them, as well as other writers, to control their own work. This freedom and financial success led them to become producers as well, backing plays, concert, and national tours in addition to musicals. Rogers and Hammerstein were a powerhouse transforming Broadway and musical theater by basing shows on plays and novels, using original dialogue, and creating seamless storytelling from formats of speech to song. During the 1940s and 50s, the duo created some of the most enduring musicals of all time, including Carousel, The King and I, The Sound of Music, and South Pacific, which won the prize for drama. Additionally, Roger and Hammerstein created a special television musical of Cinderella, their only musical written for TV, which starred Julie Andrews and was first broadcast in 1957. Let's listen to Cinderella, 1957, Richard and Hammerstein. in 1960, Rogers collaborated with Stephen Sondheim and Martin Chernin, among others, and he became the first person to accumulate every major award possible in his field: Tonys, Emmys, Grammys, Oscars, and 2 Pulitzer Prizes, in addition to numerous honorary awards. Roger was also among the first honorees of the newly created Kennedy Center Honors in 1978. President Jimmy Carter presented him with the award. In his later years, Rogers created numerous awards and scholarships for artists at the Juilliard School of Music, the American Theater Wing, and the American Academy of Dramatic Art, among other schools. Richard Robert Rogers triumphed over cancer of the jaw in 1955 and a laryngectomy in 1974 before dying at his home in New York City on December 30th, 1979. His ashes were scattered at sea by his wife, Dorothy Fenner Rogers, whom he had married in 1930. The couple had 2 daughters, Mary and Linda. The musical gene proved to run in the family, with Mary composing Once Upon a Mattress and Rogers' grandsons, Adam Goodall and Peter Melnick, composing the Tony Award-winning Light in the Pizza and the off-Broadway production Adrift and Mexico, respectively. In 1990, Rogers was awarded Broadway's highest honor, a theater named after him on the 46th Street in Manhattan, New York. A devoted art collector, Rogers is remembered in his old neighborhood of Mount Morris Park in Harlem, New York, for building $1 million recreation center and theater. Today, Richard Rogers is credited with writing between 900 and 1,500 songs, an estimated 85 of which are considered standards. To date, 19 film versions of his musicals have been made. As one critic put it, probably not a day goes by without a show of his being performed somewhere in the world. And that, my friends, is the history and broadcast of Richard Rogers, of his life and legacy. Now, before we run out of time, I'm going to finish up with playing one of his hits by Richard Rogers and Lorenz Hart, 1937, My Funny Valentine.